Well, welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
And I'm Brandon.
Thank you for joining us again. Brandon, how are you doing today?
Mom, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine, Brandon. All right, you ready to talk about another exciting week?
Yeah, I am. Are you?
I sure am. Today we're talking about the week of June 23rd through the 27th. And just so everyone knows, the date of this recording is on June 29th. Alrighty, let's talk about some things that happened this week. First of all, let's talk about Drew, Tracy, Cody, and Martin. Wow. So there was a press conference that Drew wanted that Drew wanted to call. He wanted Tracy to admit to having the ketamine in her car, and so Tracy did attend the press conference. She had a lovely script that was written for her, but she changed up everything during the conference itself. While she began speaking, she acted like she was hesitating, and Cody kind of walked right up and said that he was the one who put the ketamine in Tracy's car because of the horse. Apparently, ketamine's used for horses who are ill, and so. And so Cody indicated that he put the ketamine in the car for the horse. The conference in itself is rather entertaining because we have Martin, who quite didn't know what to do, Drew, who just looked dumbfounded, and then we have Martin, who kind of fell and then kind of hurt himself during the conference itself. All right, Brandon, what were your thoughts about the press conference?
Mom, I had to laugh so hard. I thought it was so interesting in the way that sort of worked out. Tracy was worrying whether or not with her conscious, whether or not she go through with it or not, and so Brooklyn joins her, and then Chase joins her, and then Cody shows up and changes everything. But nope, it was all part of the plan, as per Michael, per Tracy. I'm I'm not fully understanding though as to when this plan came about. I mean, I know the timeline of it, but I found it hilarious, especially Martin trying to figure out everything and get back at Tracy. And yeah, that this is one for the books.
This one was quite entertaining, I will say that. And so, as you can guess, everyone knows at this point in time or believes that Tracy had nothing to do with the ketamine. Drew had to go online and or go to the public and say that he is aware that Tracy was innocent, and so Tracy kind of cleared her name without having to say much. So that was great. All right, the next item I'd like to talk about is Natalia. Natalia as you guys remember, Natalia was arrested for drinking and driving, and she has been speaking to the ADA, and the ADA kind of wants to make a deal with her, and as long as she could turn over some evidence regarding Sonny. And so she's let Sonny know about this. And so Sonny has said that he will take care of Natalia, meaning that he will make sure that she has a place to go out of town. And so at the end of the episode on Friday, we realize Natalia realizes that Sonny has no intention of actually going to Belize. That's where Sonny said he was going to send her. He has no intention of going to Belize with her, and she is not happy about that. In the meantime, between all of this, she has actually spoken to her son, and he kind of wants to have her arrested because that would keep her safe and in town. All right, Brandon, what were your thoughts about Natalia?
She intrigued me this week, and not in the sense of that she went any above and beyond. I'm talking about the character, not the actress. But she intrigued me in that I think this is the most per se raw that we have seen her, especially when she came to the realization that Sunny isn't going with her. And I don't know where actually she got the idea that Sunny was ever going with her, but I think to find out that she is just sort of being left out there. Um, I love seeing that scene of her coming to that realization, but I found it interesting that Sunny's guard didn't stick around until she was ready.
Yeah, I found that really odd too. I mean, Sonny intentionally wanted Natalia to leave earlier, and he sent his guard to go and get her. And she asked for an hour to pack, which he was very understanding about. But instead of coming in her room, he left altogether, which meant, of course, that Natalia was free, and Natalia has now disappeared, sort of. She's gone to the christening, but nevertheless, she is free right now. So that was kind of odd for me to see her be loose. However, you know, I just found it interesting that she thought that Sonny was coming with her, because no one ever thought that, especially her son, no one ever thought that Sonny was going to go with Natalia to go into hiding. All right, next we have Sasha and the baby. Strange things are happening with Sasha's baby. Meaning in regards to when she leaves the baby, Sasha leaves the baby in the crib. Sasha's baby's clothes are changed. I think one time she said the diaper was changed. I think another time she said that the baby had actually changed sides, meaning it was laying on the opposite side, and so of the crib. And so we don't know who's doing this. I really, at this point in time, do not have a suspicion of who it is. I mean, I've thought about Willow, but I just don't know. I don't know if I'm really leading that way. All right, Brandon, your thoughts about Sasha and her baby?
Yeah, I've had numerous thoughts about this. I mean, I don't think it's some crazed babysitter or anything. I was thinking about Willow, especially since she seems to keep zoning out, and is very narrow-minded in a sense. But I don't think it works timeline wise. I mean, I know Sidwell's been acting suspicious, and I mean that would, I suppose, make some sort of sense. But in the most recent episodes, we saw Sidwell at Windermere at the times that the baby is being dealt with. So I don't think it's him. So I'm intrigued. I mean, a part of me, yeah, of course, if it wasn't for the real life situation, I'd think it's someone like a Monica. Not in the sense of tampering with the baby, more so in the sense of because they have been bringing her name up more, but I don't think they're going that route. So I don't know. To me, it would have to be someone that would be suspicious of it. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. So this one kind of has me stumped for a little bit. So we'll see what happens within a week or so. All right, and then we have Kai, who normally doesn't have a storyline. But anyway, Kai actually gave a little pivotal piece of information this week. Kai is working with Drew while he is the senator and or congressman, whichever he is. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Kai told Drew that Portia was going to find Jacinda, and so that kind of I think that really kind of shocked Drew. I mean, even though he knows that that Jacinda was working with Portia, I think he was shocked to find out that they were trying to find her. And that was the only scene that we really had with Drew, besides the press conference at the end of, I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday's episode. I think it was Tuesday's episode. All right, Brandon, what were your thoughts about Kai actually telling Drew this information?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say something that I found interesting is that Drew seemed really zoned out this week.
Yeah, he just seemed really droned out. He did.
Yeah, I mean, normally we see him hyper focused and this and that, but I mean, even with the whole Tracy scandal, I don't think he had the reaction, like tense reaction. I think he was really preoccupied about the whole Willow situation in this. But him with Kai, I thought was interesting, and Kai giving the big secret to me. I don't know. To me, this validates Kai in a sense, and that this actually seems like some sort of direction for him. I mean, maybe not the direction we want, but I mean, some sort of direction because Drew doesn't really have any allies at the moment. I mean, outside of Willow. So now he has Willow and Kai.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's true. And then Willow and Michael. Willow does have a conversation with Michael, and he does. She does let him know that she wants to marry Drew, and she still wants to have visitation rights with her children. And so, I mean, they had a long conversation, but that's really when it came down to. Michael, of course, does not want Willow to have anything to do with Drew, and nor does he want his children to be around Drew. Any thoughts, Brian?
Well, I'm gonna take sort of the extra part of this and the whole thing with Nina trying to convince Carly and then Jason about giving Will those visitation rights, and the fact that Will immediately shuts Jason down, even though it was Nina that called him. I think that is going to come back to haunt her later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Pretty sure it is. All right. Anything else about this?
No, I mean, I think that was it for that. I mean, it's overall pretty. A lot of things happened this week, but not with a lot of people.
That's true. I agree with you totally. And the last thing I want to talk about is Brooklyn. Brooklyn is now researching Rocco's parentage. Specifically, she is looking at the birth certificates and the change of parentage. Just to give just a slight bit of history, um, Britt actually is the person who actually gave birth to Rocco. And she did list herself along with someone else as the father. We later found out that this was actually Rocco, meaning that this was Lulu's son and Dante's son also. And so of course there was a bit of a birth certificate change. I'm not quite sure where Brooklyn's going with this, unless she's trying to prove that that maybe Lulu is not the mother, and that it's really just Dante's child. We'll have to see that later, but at this point in time, Brooklyn's doing a little research, and she is also purposely leaving this information out. And the last we saw that that Rocco did see the file. Now we have not seen Rocco look at the file. We just saw Rocco see the file. All right, Brand, your thoughts about Brooklyn and the parentage of Rocco?
I think that this is going to backfire greatly on Brooklyn. I mean, we see Lulu to an extent sort of trying to make amends, not to Brooklyn, but to Gio for the whole situation, and is somewhat hyping up Brooklyn in a sense, indirectly, to Gio. That being said, I don't think that Brooklyn meant to lead the file out for Rocco to see. A part of me says I don't think she's going to follow through with it, not per se in the sense of going after Lulu, but more so using that way to do it. It's just going to be that's the way the cookie crumbles, and so I think she's going to get distracted by deception stuff, and then oops, Rocco knows, my bad.
Yeah, yeah, I have a feeling that's going to happen also. Yeah. All right, and let's talk about our performers of the week. I had a couple. First of all, I have Marco because I like the conversation that Marco had with his mother. I thought it was the first kind of real conversation that they've had, and I like that he showed that he really did care for his mother, and he doesn't want anything to happen to her, but he also understands that if she goes out of the country, that she could possibly be killed. So I did like the conversation that Marco had. But then Tracy and Cody and Martin, they were the rest for me. The three of them on that one day or the 2 days in which they had the press conference, that was wonderful. So Tracy, Cody, and Martin are my other three performers of the week. So I have four this week. All right, Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that all of them are great performers. I really liked Marco's performance. I liked his working with Lucas, and I'm gonna say, as shocking as it is, I think I'm gonna say Natalia.
Okay. Now I understand she was troubled this week and she reached out to a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't think we've really, outside of the whole deception thing and exposing her, I guess this time last year, I don't think we really have gotten this big of a storyline for her.
Mhm.
So, and I like that we get to see the other side of her instead of the whole pleasing Sunny, that she's probably going to go off the wall. And I'm curious to see, I'm excited to see what this means for her, and hopefully not the end of her.
Got it. All right. As for amusing scenes of the week, I had several. First of all, Cody and Tracy that we've already talked about. Then I actually have Jason and Dante. They had a nice little conversation, and I really liked it. But I thought it was done very nicely. It was a light conversation, so I like that. I like the Martin and Rick. being together in the hospital. They had an amusing conversation. And then also, I like the fact that water was thrown on Jordan. Portia was speaking to Jordan, and just out of nowhere, she decided to throw water on her, and it amused me. So these are my amusing moments of the week. All right, Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with those, and I know you were telling me earlier that you definitely see Dante and Jason as the next couple for for your thoughts. But all that to say though is I like the conversation that Lucas had with Lulu in the sense of losing all of this big bad stuff about Sidwell. Um, yeah, in terms of trying to dissuade him from dating Marco, and then Lucas says, "Whoa." Well, it's like, well, I'm not. He said something along the lines of like, "Good thing I'm not dating Jen Sidwell," and so I like that. I like Martin and his whole situation about not being able to pay the bills. Of course, Tracy and Martin earlier in the week, and yeah, there were a lot of to me little fun moments. But one I'm going to add to it is with Rocco and Rocco and
Danny?
Danny at the pool.
Yes, yes, they were funny. They really were. As for heartwarming moments, I think for me the one that stands out is Felicia and Sasha. They had a really nice conversation, and I really did like the moment. I like that Sasha thought so much of Felicia that she should be the godmother, um, and I really like the conversation that they had. All right, Brandon, what about you for heartwarming moments of the week?
Yeah, I'll definitely have to say it is Sasha and with
Felicia.
Felicia. Yes.
Yeah, all right. And then, as for fast forward moments, I ended up, true confession, having to watch a few episodes twice, just because I did not take notes. So, note for self to always take notes, so I don't have to do this. Um, and you're nodding because you watch with me. Anyway, so I didn't have really fast forward moments of the week. Brandon, did you have any?
No, I didn't have any.
I kind of wish I did, so I could have fast forwarded a little bit more. Alrighty. And then, actually, surprising moments of the week. Um, like I said, for me, it was Portia pouring the water on Jordan. That was a surprising moment because I was not expecting that, and I was pleasantly surprised. And then the other one was Kai confessing to Drew because I really was not expecting him to do that, at least that quickly. So those are my two kind of surprising moments of the week. How about you, for you, Brand? Did you have any?
You know, I would say I really enjoyed Portia this week, and that's I'm not going to say that's surprising, but it kind of is. Yeah, I thought that was a surprising moment, and the whole Cody thing with the press conference.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and who is missing? Where is Emma? I don't know where Emma is. I don't think she was seen this week. And then we also did not see Ned, I don't believe, and we didn't see Olivia, I don't believe. So those are my where are they at? Brandon, who am I leaving out?
Ooh, yeah, I was definitely thinking about Olivia, and yeah, I don't think she would miss the um, sort of all everything that's going on, especially with even though no relation to her, a new baby in the house. I mean, to me, I feel like she would have been there on the action, but I suppose she's a little distracted by the whole new grandkid thing. Um, but yeah, definitely, where are they?
Yeah, and actually the christening has not occurred yet, so maybe she'll be on next week. We've just seen the previews to the christening.
Yes.
All right. Alrighty. As for next week, I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more about Sasha and the baby and what's going on there. And then, of course, the end of Natalia or whatever is going to happen to Natalia to see what happens in that scenario. And of course, we have the christening, and there cannot be an event without something occurring. So let's see what happens at the christening. All right, Brandon, what are you looking forward to watching next week?
Well, first of all, I remembered another amusing thought, and that was uh, with Chase mentioning to Felicia that he's a bit disappointed that that for the christening that Mac, Robert, and Sonny will not all be there together at the altar, and it was said that Mac will not be there, and neither will Robert. Which I'm surprised Mac's not going to be there.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Mac's not there either, especially since Felicia's going to be there. So I'm really surprised about that.
But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. And then where are the Quartermains? I mean, aren't the Quartermains a part of this?
Yeah, well, they've mentioned a little bit. They did mention Monica in the sense that they needed to make a change to accommodate her. Um, but yeah, so I guess, like you said, since the christening's not until Monday, we'll have to see, which is tomorrow, we'll have to see whether or not everyone just kind of shows up on the day of the christening.
Yeah, unless they're going to do it like a two-parter where they have the one at the chapel or wherever they're at, and then the off-screen one at the Quartermains for Monica.
Yeah, it could be the receptions at the Quartermains.
But yeah, but to me, I would like. I was thinking about this earlier. Um, I would like to see that somehow Natalia is not Natalia. I'd like to see ADA Turner somehow working with Sidwell to take down Sunny.
Huh, that'll be interesting. You know, I've had my thoughts about ADA Turner because I mentioned to you previously that, oh gosh, the cop who, Jagger, I had mentioned to you previously that Jagger has a sister. And I said, well, maybe ADA Turner is really Jagger's sister. But I don't know if the soaps that be have thought of that through or not. But it would be a reason why she is so against Sunny. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it might be, and yeah, and I will say too that we did see ADA Turner just a little bit because Sunny may or may not have tried to bribe her with a baseball glove.
Yeah, that was entertaining at least. But anything else that you'd like to talk about that occurred this week, Brandon?
No, not really. I mean, I suppose the one small revelation that we did get, even though they alluded to it previous, is that Sidwell is not only trying to take down Sunny, but also trying to take down Laura.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to see where this goes with Sidwell, and to see what his ultimate goal is, because that is something we really don't know what his ultimate goal is in the community.
Yeah, we really don't, especially since apparently he's stalking the whole Quartermain family. So I'm curious as to see where this goes next, especially in relation to Drew, because I don't think Sidwell and Drew are speaking anymore, but he's certainly speaking to Boyle.
Yeah, he sure is. He sure is. And Boyle is not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Brandon. Let's say thank you for speaking with me today this week. Um, well, Brandon, thank you so much for speaking with me in regards to General Hospital. And I look forward to watching it with you next week. For guys who are watching, let us know your thoughts about what has occurred. And so, have a great day, everybody.
We'll see you next time.
All right, bye bye.